Okay, next thing is one of the property that we learned is for alignment, right? Aligning along that main or cross axis, we can use two set of properties. One is justify content, yeah. Another one is
Align items.
align items, correct? Align items. So let's see if I don't give align items as start, and I also fixed the width here, right? It has 50 pixel. Yes. So you see this, they are by default stretch, which is a default value. So we should remember default value in CSS. Yeah. So justify content is what? First thing. Okay, let me not jump to that part. So let me talk about justify content. So justify content, yeah. So by default is start. So all the items are aligned in the starting of the axis. If I say end, then they're all aligned towards the end of the axis. Correct? So start and end, they're all aligned in the start or they're all aligned in the end. That is what is justify content. So default is start. Yes, there are three separate values that we went through, which is space between, space between. In between items, you see that extra space is coming. Which is this extra space? This extra space is, so let's say if I say start, right? I say start, and you see that there is so much of space left out along the main axis in the container itself. Correct? This empty white space, just this much. This will be equally distributed, yeah, but now between the elements. That space, whatever is left out, is distributed equally between all the elements. That is what is space between. Now again, there are two more, yeah, values for space distribution. The left out space distribution. Space around. Space around is around every flex item. There is an equal space. If I just divide the space like so, there is an equal space around this element. Yeah. So that gets added up and then there is a more space between and then less space in the last and first. So again, one way of distributing space. That's all. Then there is an evenly. Yeah. Here both, yeah, around every element you will see an equal space. Even, uniformly. So this is a spacing utility. Now, but one thing you have to remember, this justify content, okay, works along main axis. In whichever direction main axis is there, it works along that main axis. All of you will easily remember that, it is start, end, center, space, and there are 2, 3 space. No. Important thing is it works along the main axis. Now let's say using flex direction, I change this, yeah, I change the main axis. Okay, let's say I'll switch the main axis now. Yeah, I can switch the main axis now. I can rotate it like this. Wow, flex direction column. This is what happens in flex direction column. No, actually not like this. It should be like this way. Yeah, and then even this start will be this side. Able to follow what I'm saying? So this will become start. Yeah, and this will become end of that main axis. Okay, this is what happens with flex direction column. So what I am trying to say now, the justify content will align along this axis, not horizontally, not vertically. Don't say this answer. I remember yesterday you are explaining, you know, along horizontal, along x-axis, along y-axis. No, don't say that. Don't ever try to remember that. No, try to remember that it is along this main axis. Whichever side it is, along that axis only they will align. That's how you have to remember. Let me show you now what happens. Yeah. So flex direction. Now let's make it column. See what happened now. Okay. Now they're all along main axis. Now what is the default value? I said start. Let's make it default value as start. So they're all aligned here. Now let me make it end. Yeah, they're coming in the end. Okay, let me make it center. Now center. Which center? Main axis center. Correct? Along main axis center. Justify content space between. Yeah, you see this extra space, that is because of paragraph. Huh? Okay, the paragraph has, okay, let me say margin B also 0. Space between, space around, everything works along that main axis. Not along Y or not along, you know, horizontal or vertical direction. You will understand this one property, how it is working, and on top of that, along which axis it is working is also important. Okay, any question with this property, how it is working? We use this property very heavily, and you should not have a confusion. As I think you might be having confusion now, but when you take up for practice, I think you should not see any confusion at all. All right. So if no questions, then let's move on.